The Mexican government's been accused of using spyware to monitor anti-corruption activists. The targets of the spyware are being reported as lawyers looking into the mass disappearance of 43 students and a highly respected academic who helped write anti-corruption legislation. In the last few years, 3 federal agencies have purchased nearly $80 million worth of tech, which was sold to them on the basis that it was used to tackle terrorism and criminal activity. To delve further into this topic, I'm now joined by Dr. Costantino Grasso, the Global Module Leader for Corporate Governance and Ethics at the University of London. Good afternoon, Dr. Grasso.
Good afternoon.
What are the legal ramifications of the Mexican government spying on citizens?
Oh, thank you for this question. This issue is very complex. At the domestic level, the rules change from country to country. What we have to understand is that there is a difference between, on the one hand, the legal means that are used to spy citizens, the use of which, for example, as evidence in legal trials, is limited and restricted by the law, and on the other, informal and illicit activities, which can be carried out by members of the government apparatus, such as police officers and intelligence units. They have the technology to spy citizens and can do it not to use the outcomes of such activities in a legal way, for example, a trial, but just to identify the people who are against the government. Because being part of the controller, they are not subject to any effective control. And because they don't need to use the outcomes of these spying activities in a trial or in another legal procedure, you can easily appreciate that the privacy safeguards provided by the law do not work for them. And here lies the problem of corruption. Corrupt public officials may use those technology with impunity and give the obtained information to political opponents or, in an even worse scenario, to criminals.
Now, if the Mexican government are using spyware to spy on anti-corruption activists, their human rights are surely being violated. How do you think they should respond?
Let me first say that we are experiencing a sort of paradoxical situation here, okay? Because corruption is a sneaky criminal phenomenon. It mainly affects a country dominant class. It has a way of engulfing people with enough power to tackle it. As a result, it is very difficult to counter. The only effective measures to combat corruption are represented by phone tapping and surveillance of emails and text messages. And this is true. However, the intrusive nature of such instruments and the due process safeguards that protect the offenders make it very complicated to use them. And the political class, which is often enmeshed in corrupt practices, won't give the green light to use such measures easily against the offenders. On the contrary, we are experiencing the illicit use of spyware systems to identify the honest people who would like to fight against criminal phenomena. As I wrote in the article on the conversation, where corruption is systemic, the government apparatus may change side and protect the corrupt ones instead of fighting them. Now, about the violation of human rights, the legal protections vary a lot. In Europe, we have a fundamental protection enshrined in Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which provides a right to respect for one's private and family life, his home, and his correspondence. This provision can protect us also from abrupt political decisions that at the domestic level are taken to ease the possibility of infringing our right to privacy. And this is the reason because I'm really scared every time an influential politician affirms his or her intention to let the UK abandon the European Convention of Human Rights.
You mentioned their corruption and human rights. What is the world view legally on the use of spyware?
Okay, employing spywares in the absence of a precise regulation and possibly a decision from a judicial authority that authorizes their use, taking into consideration in an independent way of the executive the supporting reasons of such spying activities, can be considered as a clear violation of the citizens' rights to privacy. That's for sure. Against the issue, again, here is that there is an imbalance between the legal use of these spying devices and instruments, which is subject usually to strict legal restrictions, and the legal and informal use, which purpose is not to obtain evidence to be used in a criminal trial, for instance, but just to get the information and use them. As we can appreciate again, the criminals in these cases are the most protected ones because to accuse them formally, you need evidence gathered respecting full the process safeguards. The problem is that, to the contrary, it's difficult to stop corrupt public officials to use the system in an informal and illegal way just to get the information and use them against their rivals. And this is the real issue we're experiencing, for example, in Mexico and in any other country afflicted by systemic corruption.
This will certainly be one for the world to keep an eye on, especially if it is true that the Mexican government are using spyware to spy on anti-corruption activists. Dr. Costantino Grasso, Global Module Leader for Corporate Governance and Ethics at the University of London, thank you very much for talking with me today on Radio Sputnik.